In the previous video, you saw us prep the engine bay, make the wiring harness pretty for the engine. Now we have mostly cleaned the engine bay, but where is it? Well, it's here now with a lot of parts. And how it got here is a story of its own. I'll never forget yesterday. When we were bringing this, it was in our friend's Varna, and we were on our way back. We had picked up the engine, we were just on our way back from Jalandhar, and there was this huge pothole in the middle of the highway which I couldn't just avoid. So our car dove straight into it and its tire burst. The situation was similar. The boot of that car looked something like this. Every part was in the boot and the spare tire was beneath all of this stuff. So in the middle of the highway, we had to remove everything from the boot, pick up the spare tire and then install it. And once we were done, we had to put everything back in. These things are not light, these are really heavy. It's like 100 kgs right here. But then around 10, we were back at base, we were back at the workshop and we were ready to put everything inside of the workshop. But as soon as I opened the gate to the workshop, there were so many honeybees just hounding around here, right here. And I didn't notice them, I didn't see them. I was like, it has never happened, honeybees have never made their home here. So I just opened it, I went inside and there were more waiting for me inside. So I noticed there's a chaos going on outside. My friends are like, honeybees, there are honeybees, and I'm like, where? And without realizing, there was one sitting right at my neck and it stung me. You know, first I haven't been well this week, then the situation on the highway, then I got stung by a bee. This was quite an experience to bring this engine back. I mean, but okay, finally, we can forget about all of that. I'm not entirely well now, I think you can hear it in my voice, but we can finally put this engine back together. Let's take it inside. Before we take it inside, we actually have to clean the block, but let's take all the parts out. Let's begin. So this is the piston ring compressor. We will install brand new rings on the piston, compress it with this, and once it is compressed, we will push it in the block. So they have left the crankshaft inside of the engine. So I'll remove that so that I can clean everything properly, because this is not entirely cleaned, it is somewhat cleaned, but when we are putting it back together, we need to make sure it's immaculate. So they have installed brand new bearings for us. That's good. A seal or like sealant needs to go there. No seal. Sealant needs to go here when we put it back together. There are seals in place. That's good. Let's just carefully put it. So they have installed brand new bearings for us. We don't have to go through the trouble of putting the bearings in. Now the reason they had put the crankshaft in and not the pistons or anything else is because they have to check the crankshaft for clearance. With these brand new bearings, they have to check for clearance if it is in tolerance, even axially if it is in tolerance or not. So they have done that bit of homework for us. We don't have to go through the trouble anymore. All we need to do is entirely clean it properly. No speck of dirt, dust or any speck of anything else, foreign particle should be in here. So we need to clean it properly. We have to be really meticulous with it. Let's begin. These are the heads. They have cleaned this properly. They have made brand new seats for the valves and installed new sleeves. So they have cleaned it properly. All we need to do is lift them up and install hydraulic lifters inside. The rest of it is done. That is why they have packed it like this. We don't need to clean it. We don't need to do anything on it. We just unwrap them and install them. So these are some plastic scrapers. We cannot use metal scrapers on this because then it will gouge the metal and then it will have an uneven surface. It won't seal properly. This is a metal wire brush. We won't be using this. This is a brass wire brush, which is weaker than metal, but it will get rid of all this material on top and it won't damage the metal underneath. So this is a slightly extreme solution. We will start by this. Do you see all of this gunk here? All of this is the thermostat housing, and this is where the seal sits. So we need to make sure this mating surface is immaculate, and when it is immaculate, it won't leak. So that is what we have to do now. This is silicone. This is exactly what we need to get rid of. This is the surface that we want, clean and flat, unlike this. This has old sealant left on it. So we need to make sure every mating surface looks like this. So we have cleaned this entirely with water, with diesel and everything. Now we just need to dry it properly. I have blow dried it outside, but some water is still on it. So we'll just pick that water up and we will make sure to not use this cloth inside of the cylinder because this is not lint free. We need a lint free cloth for the cylinders. We will use a couple of combination of cloths while cleaning this. We are ready to install the pistons now. We need to install new piston rings on it. Those piston rings have a certain clearance inside of the cylinder. So that is exactly what I'm checking right now. These rings are pre-cut, so we don't have to grind them or do anything to them. We can just slap them on the piston and install the piston inside. But still I'm just checking for my sanity if the clearance is good on them or not. So 0.4 mm is a snug fit, it's not too loose. So we'll go up in the number and check till where it stops. So 17 thousandths of an inch is a little tight, which means it is a little less than 0.432 mm, and the wear limit, that is the absolute wear limit that you should not go beyond, is 0.80 mm. So we are right in between because this is not a brand new block. We did not put sleeves in it or anything. This is a worn down block. So this clearance is within the range, and that just ensures that these are pre-cut and I don't have to do anything to these. So I'll just go ahead, slap them on the pistons and slap the pistons inside of the block now. So I'm removing the bearings right now, the main bearing of the crank, because there is oil underneath here. We need to make sure that this is entirely dry, but the oil should be on top of the bearing, not in this area, because then we'll have a spun bearing, which is not good. So we need to clean both the sides properly, get rid of any oil. The notch should face the notched side. That's all. Now we'll just repeat this process for each and every bearing. Now we need to do the same thing over here. Remove the bearings, clean this area up. Actually, all of this needs to be cleaned up. I think we forgot to clean up the diesel because it is really dirty. So let's clean this properly. Why is it so dirty? These have now been cleaned. The surface is clean, this surface is clean. We'll just clean each bearing now. So each of these has a color. right here, and these colors need to be corresponded with the crankshaft. But since we have polished the crankshaft and these are standard bearings, all the tolerances have been set around this. So they have checked the tolerances, we don't need to color match them anymore. If it were a brand new crankshaft or the old crankshaft itself, we would have to check tolerances according to these colors. So, but now it just doesn't matter. So now I'm going to fit this crank inside of the block, and then one by one I will install the pistons onto it. But I need to make sure that the bearings are properly doused in oil. Now you are supposed to apply sealant here, but I am not putting this on permanently. I am just putting it till we put the pistons in, and then I will remove this, apply the sealant, and then torque it properly. Right now I am just snugging everything up so that we can install the pistons. So now we are finally ready to install the pistons inside of this block. All this time we were just cleaning it properly, cleaning the pistons and everything. Now everything is clean. What we'll do is we will lube up the piston properly before it has the rings in it. We have cleaned these grooves. It's good that we lube them properly now. Once it is lubed, we can start to put the rings. First goes this oil ring. Right here. This is the oil ring, this is the spring behind it. So we need to install this first. Once this is installed, we can install the spacer, the bracket, the ring over it. So we will just make some space, expand it a little bit, and then install it in its place. It has grooves inside in which the spring will reside. We just need to make sure the spring goes inside of this ring. Could be tricky at times. Just like that, now it has been installed. The spring is inside of this ring now. Next up, this ring. This is the second ring which takes all the oil with it when the piston goes down. So we will just line it up. In the first groove, we will take this in steps instead of going all out. We will first install this in the first groove, gently. Because if these break, we will have to buy the entire ring kit again, which is not cheap. So it is in the first groove now, we will just shift it to the second groove. Just like that. Now, 2 rings have been installed. Now it's time for the top ring. All of these have letters on top which symbolize like the letters should be facing the top of the piston. So we know we don't install them upside down. So this letter should be facing the top. Just like that, that is the last ring done. Now there is a specific clocking with each ring. What we have to do is, imagine this is a clock. So this is the 12 o'clock, this is 3, this is 9 and this is 6. So 12 o'clock and 6, 3 and 9 are no-no zone. You don't have to put your gaps there. You see there is this gap in each ring. You put one gap between 3 and 12. You put another between 3 and 6. And the top oil ring, the bottom oil ring should be away from the second ring. So we will put that over here. So now the first ring's gap is right here, second ring's gap is right here, and third ring's gap is away from them. Now we are ready to compress them and install them inside of the block. But again, oil them properly. You cannot use too much oil with these, just use as much as you want. Properly coat everything in oil. Make sure the clocking is right. With everything properly lubed up, carefully install the piston and make it sit right here. Now we will use our piston compressor tool to compress the rings properly. Again, check the clocking, make sure it is proper. You only get this chance to do it. And then we put our piston compressor tool on, making sure every ring gets trapped in it. And then compress it. Once it is entirely compressed, just make sure it is straight, square with the block, and then push the piston in. And just like that, your piston has been installed. I'm not torquing them yet, I'm just snugging them up to check everything. And yeah, it looks good. So we have installed all of the pistons, but I made one critical error. I forgot to install the piston squirters. They go beneath the crankshaft, so now I have to lift the crankshaft up again and install these. It is going to happen so many times with this build. I'm already regretting it, but we caught it early. If we had forgotten these, we would be doing this all over again. We should clean these somehow. They were slightly dirty, maybe it's just the old oil that has come out, but it's a good thing that we clean these. Anytime I use diesel or petrol, the gloves get like Mickey Mouse hands. They inflate so much. This is the amount of dirt that has come out of these quarters. So these are the bolts, and we are going to apply high strength thread locker to them. The torque specification is 9 Newton meters, which is basically hand tight. So I'm going to apply this and hand tighten it a little bit more than 9 Newton meters. This is more than enough. Finally, the piston squirters are installed. We can put back the crankshaft. Before putting the end caps on, we have to make sure we have oiled them properly. One thing we forgot to fix is that all the end cap bearings had oil under them. There should be no oil between the end cap and the bearing, but on the bearing itself. So I'm removing each bearing and cleaning them up properly, and then reinstalling them. Now we have installed everything back up. The crankshaft is in, the bearings are properly installed, the squirters are in and they are locked. Now it's time to torque these. The torque sequence on this is, not the sequence but the spec is 50 Newton meters plus 90 degree. So I have this torque wrench set up at 50 Newton meters. So we will torque them now. Now I'm going to mark the bolts that I've just torqued like this, so that when I spin them to 90 degrees, I just need to make sure this line which is facing this side faces this side. That's how I will know that I've further made the 90-degree turn. So I'm going to torque each and every bolt, and then at the very last I'm going to torque them, or actually spin them to 90 degrees further. Now with every bolt torqued, it's time to spin them 90 degrees further. It's not going to be easy. Right on. You can see we marked it here earlier. Now that mark is facing down, which means it has spun 90 degrees. You can see we are yet to do this one. Now we are ready to put the bottom girdle on it. We are just cleaning the surface up with petrol. So we'll just clean this properly, because we are going to apply this adhesive over here, this sealant. It says in the manual to apply this sealant here, so we are not applying sealant where coolant galleries and everything goes. If it is in the manual, we have to apply it. It has been cleaned entirely. Now we just need to add a bead of sealant on it. The manual states that the height of this bead should be 2 mm from the surface. I think we are well above that, so that's good. And it states that this groove should be absolutely filled with sealant. That is why I'm pressing it in and then moving forward. So there is a slight difference between the lengths of these bolts. The tall ones go on the inside and the short ones go on the outside. And now the bolts that surround the crankshaft. Now with the bottom girdle installed, the bolts for it snug down, we are ready to torque them. The torque specification for these is 50 Newton meters plus 90 degrees, and for the rest, the ones surrounding them, it's 20 Newton meters plus 90 degree. So what we'll do is take all of these to 50 Newton meters first, then turn these to 90 degree, and then work on the exterior. Let's begin. So now all of these have been torqued. Furthermore, we need to turn each of them to 90 degrees as well, because they are stretch bolts just like the ones we did inside. So I'm going to mark them at 3 o'clock position. So we have marked them at 3 o'clock position, so that when we turn and they are at 6 o'clock position, we will know that we have turned them 90 degrees. Even this needs to be done in a sequence. The reason we torque them in a particular pattern and turn them in a particular pattern is because this is a sealing surface. We want it to seat properly. We don't want it to warp on one side. If we tighten the outer bolts, it will warp like this. If we tighten the inner bolts, it will warp like this. So we do it in a pattern so that it gets seated properly and flat. Now the bolts for the crankshaft have been tightened properly and entirely, and the crank still spins. So we did a decent job, I think. Now what's left are the bolts for these outer crankcase. These needs to be tightened further, so let's do them now. The torque specification for these is 20 Newton meters plus 90 degrees, and this only goes down to about 25. So this should be 20, not 100% accurately, close to 20, which is fine. The click is very faint with 20 Newton meters because that is a really less amount of torque, so I have to really be careful and listen to that click. Now the bottom end is done. We have tightened it properly. Let's try to spin it now. If it spins, we have done everything correctly. If it doesn't, we'll open it. Okay, spins nicely, as it should. All good. So the bottom end is now complete. We have put the crankshaft in, the bottom girdle on. This is the upper oil pan and this is the final oil pan. Now this is the old one. We are just putting it to cover it right now. And when we will be doing the heads, the engine will sit on the pan. So we are not going to install the new pan right now, obviously. And we are not putting any sealant on because this is not the final pan. So we'll just put this on so that we can work on the engine at the top. We forgot to add the baffle, so we opened the oil pan up. With the bottom end now completed, it is time to move to the top end. For that, we need to flip this engine upside down. So let's do that. So this is a desi way to check for compression. We will put the newspaper here and if we spin it quickly, this should pop. So let's see. Yay! Almost a perfect circle, but that pop is so satisfying. एक और करें कोई? ये वाला करें? So this is the head right here and it is packed because they have cleaned it, prepped it and it is ready to be installed, except this doesn't have the lifters installed. So what we need to do is unpack it, remove the top of it and then install lifters. Before that we need to clean the lifters with petrol and everything, oil them up and then install them here. But let's just open it first and then I'll explain. So as I said, lifters aren't installed in this, but the camshafts are there and they are just spinning freely. It doesn't matter. So we are going to open the top half of it and clean the lifters, install the lifters. Before that, we will put the head on. So let's open this. So they have resurfaced this, they have reseated the valves and they've added new sleeves to them as well on the inside, which we cannot really see. But you can see how shiny and flat this is. So this is gonna perfectly sit flat onto the head with the head gasket in the middle. So right now what we need to do is install lifters in it. Let's clean the lifters first. So Ram and Lavi have been cleaning the parts of this head and we were thinking that we were just going to use it as is because the machine shop said that they were clean to begin with and you could just slap them on, but they are not clean at all. So we are taking things apart further, cleaning them properly, even even cleaning the injector holes with the brush. So right now what we're going to do is open the other head up as well, clean every bit of it and then assemble it. So a lot of cleaning. Most of building the engines is just cleanliness basically. Everything should be pristine, properly cleaned and lubed. That is most of what engine building is. So we're just cleaning everything again. So this is the before and this is the after a pass of Scotch-Brite. So this is where the HLAs are going to sit and all of these things should look like this right here. It should be clean as this. They all have this gunk on them which is the oil deposited, and all of this orange layer anywhere on the engine which you see is because people don't get their oil changed frequently enough. So this is the reason you should get frequent oil changes, so that this color doesn't change from silver to orange, because we are removing all of that orange right now. And even right here, if you notice, it is dirty right now, so I'm just going to give it a light pass and clean it up. The gunk which it is removing is staying here, so it's not falling in, so that's fine. I'm just going to clean it slightly with just a single pass. It will get much cleaner. We just want this to be spotless. So these are the hydraulic lifters, the HLAs, on which the cam will go up and down. As you can see, they have white residue on them. This is oil mixed with water. So we need to clean these entirely. We need to get rid of all of this old oil and water mixture and clean them with petrol properly. You can see some of it is coming out of this hole as well, right here. So we need to clean these with petrol. Yeah, this is the mixture that is coming out of them. This is brand new oil, but this white stuff is the old oil mixed with water. So we need to get rid of that mixture and then dip them in good oil after cleaning them with petrol and then put it in the head. Now this is the most important part of the process. This is the brand new head gasket. These are properly cleaned heads. They have been worked as well, and now we are ready to put them on with some layer of oil here, some layer of oil on the head, and we'll just install the gasket after that. Ram, why did we apply oil to this?
So we applied oil to this so that the head seats properly and there is a proper mating in between the block and the head, and no problems after all.
And it's in. We have all the washers. So these are brand new bolts, and we got the special bit that goes along with it, and it fits snug in there. We are not using a Torx bit for this. This is a proper poly drive bit for the head, specially made for this. So, and I'm just snugging them up with the gun, not tightening them. We're also going to apply oil to the very seat of the where the washer is, because later on we are going to torque them and twist them, so a bit of oil is necessary here. And that is all 8 of them tightened in a particular sequence. Now it is all 8 of them tightened in a particular sequence. Now we will torque them and then spin them 90 degree further twice. And it's in. So this is one of the head just mounted, and look at how the engine is taking shape. Now comes the time to torque them. First to 40 Newton meters in a particular sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, something like that. What was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Yeah. So this is the correct poly drive bit for the head bolt, which is going to make sure that it is seated properly, because we don't want to strip this. Now we are going to mark them at the 3 o'clock position, so that when we spin them to 90, we will know that they have been turned to 90. And we have to do that twice. Almost there, 10 degrees or. Bas, ho gaya. Yep, 90. 2. Now all the bolts have been turned 90 degrees. You can see they all face down now. Now what we need to do is, from 6 o'clock position, we need to take them to 9 o'clock position. So 90 degrees further. Even coming here was quite difficult, wasn't it?
Quite difficult. Let's see.
So we need to go 90 degree more now. Real fun will be when righty tighty becomes righty loosey and it just
No, it
breaks off.
It won't.
The amount of stretch that these bolts require is the reason that these need to be renewed every time you open the head. This is under a lot of pressure, so. Now all of these marks face 9 o'clock, which means they have been torqued to 40 Newton meters, turned 90 degrees in a sequence, and then another 90 degrees in the same sequence. So this head is officially on the block. There's no going back now. Now it's time for the other head. We have already placed the head gasket on it. We just need to put the head on. Now we are marking them at 3 o'clock position again. All of these have been torqued. Now they just need to go 90 degrees and 90 degrees further. Now the first 90 degrees complete. Now it's time for the second sequence of 90 degree bends.
खींच
बस क्या
ठीक है
गुड
बस बस
Now they are all at 9 o'clock. They have been turned to 90 degree twice. Both the heads are now properly installed. And look at how the engine is taking shape now. Looks like an engine V. These are totally clean now. Thanks to Fateh. He cleaned them. Now as you can see, the heads are on. The next step is to time the engine. But before we can time it properly, we need to put all the sprockets here. So right now we will put the sprockets, clean this surface, get the engine on TDC, and then put the cams in at TDC. So let's begin. So this is the timing kit. It has all the new sprockets right here. So we need to fit these first, and then we will move on to the camshaft and then chains. So brand new sprocket for the balancer, new sprockets for the exhaust cams, and new sprockets which go right there. The manual does not call for Loctite here, but I'm just going to apply medium strength thread locker just in case, because we are reusing these bolts. So this is the brand new tensioner, but it didn't come with a seal. So this is the seal out of the old tensioner, which fits right in, but it is pretty flat. So we will apply a small layer of silicone on it. So I applied a really thin bead of silicone. This is where it picks up oil from, so that it creates tension. That is it. So now I'm going to apply it. So we need to check which chain goes here. So I've locked the balancer at TDC, I've locked the crank at TDC, the engine is now in TDC, and we are ready to put the cams in finally. So this bracket is for the oil pump shaft. This is where the sprocket will go for the oil pump. So let's install this. So we are using one old sprocket because the oil pump is keyed. You can see that there is a slight notch to the sprocket. It is keyed to the shaft, and this one is not keyed. I don't know why. So either that is incorrect, maybe they supplied it incorrectly, I don't know, but luckily we saved all the old parts, and this sprocket is in decent condition, so it's fine. It's a good thing that I read the manual. The manual said to clean these screens, and when the machine shop was decking this head, all the metal shavings and filings have ended up here. It's a good thing that we checked it. You will properly clean this. Look at the amount of dirt here. Look. Look. Now I have placed the cams at TDC as well. We are ready to put the upper girdle on it. Let's finally clean it once. Now the cams are at TDC as well. So when these holes are facing upwards, the cams are at TDC. This lock should be at the very top. This slit right here should be facing upwards. And now we are ready to put the upper girdle on it. So I've added silicone according to the manual. Now let's install it. Actually, let's oil it up first. So we have mounted the upper girdle on one side. Now it is time to do it on the other side. And then we can finally time the engine entirely. So there is a particular sequence in which these need to be tightened. The torque setting on this is 8 Newton meters plus 90 degrees, which is barely anything. So I'm just going to hand tighten them because I don't have a torque wrench that small which can do 8 Newton meters. So I'm going to first hand tighten them with this small ratchet and then do the sequence again, feeling them and then tightening them as I require, because these are really small bolts and they can snap off. You can see this is the sequence in which I need to tighten this. This sequence allows that the upper girdle will seat properly to the head and the seal will be proper. So this slit should fall in this polished area of the upper girdle. That is how you know that this is in TDC, including this camshaft. So this is the stock exhaust sprocket. I feel like there are slight differences in them, so I'm thinking which one to use. Teeth are the same, diameter is the same, but the flaw is, first of all, it has pockets in the middle while this one is full. Other thing, this has a marking for timing, this dot. This doesn't have any dot on it. So we should reuse the old one. It's not like it is too worn down. I feel like we'll reuse the old one. I don't trust this too much. Let's clean this properly and we'll reuse the old one. This is the guide between the exhaust cam and the intake cam, which goes right here. There is a lock to it. You just push it in and it snaps in place. This was broken on both the engines and it was found in the oil pump. Now we have to install this tensioner, which goes in like so. But before that I need to put the chain in. Now we have decided to go with the sprocket that came with the kit, because when we matched the design with the C7 exhaust sprocket, it was the same. So I was doubting that these gaps shouldn't be there, but they were there, so we're going to use it. The only problem is, you see this dot, this sprocket does not have that dot, so we will just mark it to check the timing later on. We just need to align this notch with this smooth part of the upper girdle. Like so. This is now aligned with this. And the cam is in TDC, so this is in TDC. Now this side's timing is done, this side's timing is done. This is in TDC, these are in TDC, crank is in TDC, so everything is now timed, but nothing is tight. These sprockets are not tight. So the special tools that we require are for this exact purpose. You can get here without any special tools, but these require special tools which we don't have, but still we'll manage. We are using a cloth so that we don't scratch up the camshaft, and we are holding it from the point where it is slightly thinner. दिक्कत आ गई. The vice grips could not grip on the camshaft on this side. They did very well on the other side. I don't know why, but anyway. So Ram is going to counter hold it. That was 80 Nm. And it is still in time. Good. That is 80 Nm. So everything is now tight. We can pull these pins out. This is the movement. It is entirely timed. I was dreading this part and I was most excited for this part as well. But now we can remove all the locks and try to spin the engine and then see if after 2 rounds every mark comes back in that position. So we have applied a dot of nail paint here because the new sprocket does not have the indentation on it, but it's fine. Everything seems fine so far. Yes, it is all good. Okay, it's time. Let's pull all the pins out now. Okay, all the locking pins are out. Everything is in tension. And now we have to spin it and see if it is all good or not. Let's do that. So after a lot of work, the core engine is built. The timing is done, pistons are in, heads are on, cams are in, everything is done. This is the mechanical aspect of the engine completed. What we need to do next is to put this cover on, install a new seal right here. We have the rear main seal, and then we will have the core engine built entirely. We will put it in the subframe and then further in the car. So that all will happen in the next video. So far we have the core engine built, and I think this is a good point to end the video right here. Just look at it. It is taking shape. Once it will have the supercharger mounted on it, it will look completely like the 3.0T. Right now it's bare bones. But yeah, that has been it for this video. This has been a really long couple of weeks actually. It has been 2 weeks since we have been at it. I know in the video it might seem like we were just doing this for a couple of days, but this has been a work of at least 2 weeks, I think. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. And in the next one, we will have the car running, hopefully.